This movie was supposed to carry a special place in heart because we lost our OG Black Panther September 2 years ago. This movie was supposed to honor his legacy which he created with this character Black Panther. So does it succeed with that? Let's find out.
If things don't go my way, I'll just move along.
I was really curious to see how this movie handles the death of King T'Challa. And this movie does that in the first 2 minutes itself. It hits your heart when in this movie they show that King T'Challa himself is suffering with a rare disease and they are failing to cure him in spite of all the technologies, in spite of all the advancements they have. They still don't manage to save him and they lose him. And that's what happened in the real world as well. And after that the MCU intro rolls in and it was silent, it had no music. Maybe they were giving out a tribute of sorts. It felt emotional, it felt heavy in heart. And then we are taken a year forward in timeline. Ramonda, that is the mother of King T'Challa, is the queen. We find Wakanda in a political conflict with the world as all of the nations want to secure their access to the vibranium which Wakanda has, and Wakanda is protecting it at all cost. So the more these nations try to find these sources of vibranium, that exposes another kingdom which is hidden deep inside the seas, that is the kingdom of Namor. And then the focus of the story shifts towards the conflict of these two nations. And in a sense, this movie progresses to get more conflict between these two nations. Conflict of resources, conflict of lives, conflict of ideologies. And in the end, you get a war between these two nations and then it gets really personal. So that's all the story is all about, how these conflicts are introduced and how these conflicts are resolved basically between our two primary characters, that is the Shuri's Black Panther and the Namor. You also have other characters with good and enjoyable character interactions. There are some periodic references to the original Black Panther movie as well, and they land really well. They do manage to provide us as the viewers a sense of composure. The way King T'Challa, that is Black Panther, is absent from the movie and absent from the screen. His presence is made felt. There are recalls to his characters, his thinking, and that was really warm to remember. So what's to like in this movie? You are going to get the iconic and a very peculiar style of Ryan Coogler, that is the director of this movie. I think he excels in bringing out this rich and detailed shade of any culture, any diversity, and he is able to do that so well for both of these nations, that is the nation of Namor. You have the traditions, you have the world, you have the characters doing their things underwater, and you of course have Wakanda. You're getting to see funeral processions, you're getting to see important characters interact with, and the cityscapes. They are beautiful to look at, they are something new to look at. And I think that's something which really stands out for this movie. You gotta talk about Namor. I really did enjoy his origin story. I was able to relate to it. Powers are really cool, and I think out of all of the action sequences in this movie, he has the best ones. I'm hopeful to see this character again whenever that happens, of course. The next thing I liked is soundtrack. And the original soundtrack for this movie is really peculiar. It's good to hear. It complements well with everything that is being shown us to on the screen. The traditions, the action and the interactions, the vibe of any scene, the mood of any scene. It matches, it complements it all really well. About the characters, Shuri and Ramonda, they play a huge chunk in this movie and they played it really well. You do feel their pain and the kind of process they are undergoing in order to cope up with the loss they have. M'Baku and Okoye, they too had their moments to shine. We also have a new character, that is Ironheart. She was sufficiently good. It would be interesting to see how this character of Ironheart, how Shuri, how they are going to add up in the next huge MCU team-up movies. And then you of course have Martin Freeman with a short role, and it was kind of alright. Nothing that consequential. Coming to the things I didn't like about this movie, the movie felt a little too long. It feels like the story is being dragged at some places. and at moments it feels like it loses its motivation, it loses the direction. Some scenes, some conversations, they feel like they are being repeated in the movie itself. Sadly, the action sequences were not that spectacular the way I was expecting them to be. I mean, the first movie stood out really well because it had very different and very artistic looking action sequences. This movie sadly lacks that. There were not a lot of moments when I jumped out of my seat and screamed crazy like till my throat got sore. It lacked that enthusiasm, it lacked that energy. And it's around the third act we get to see Shuri coming out as Black Panther. I mean, she played it really well, but you can't help it because you're going to end up comparing the Black Panther character of Shuri to the Black Panther character of Chadwick Boseman. So that's where this version of Black Panther feels a little less on energy and enthusiasm. And she has her reasons, of course. She has a lot of her character arc is designed that way. You remember in Infinity War, Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther comes in and you have that warlike situation, and he just gives out that command, Wakanda forever. The theater literally went crazy. Again, it isn't fair for me to draw comparisons like this, but you can't help it. It just feels a little low on energy and that kind of massive energy push. But for what it's worth, the character arc of Shuri over all the movie, that's how it is designed. That's how she's processing the loss one after another. She's trying to evolve as the individual. She's trying to evolve as the queen, as the Black Panther character to serve her nation. So it's fulfilling to see her character evolve from point A to point B till the moment we arrive at our end credit scene. By the way, there's one end credit scene, so please make sure you stay till the end and watch it. But again, it's a good one. It's an emotional one, at least for the character of Shuri. So coming to my overall thoughts, how well this movie honors the legacy of Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. The answer is it does it really well. This movie could be considered as a final goodbye to our beloved character. It has that heart in the right place. There are conversations happening in the movie which are meant for viewers to gain that composure, which are meant for viewers to bid their final goodbyes. And I think that's one reason you should watch this movie for. So that's all for this one. I do hope to catch up in our next movie. Till we meet again, cheers!